you anything about what Sam Cedar wants. Sam Cedar wants me to be like, why did you ban him and shit like that, but he's in my chat right now. Um, what
I hate that guy.
the the first thing I am going to ask you about though is definitely going to be the allegations that you are a race realist who believes that certain races are superior to others. Because I have learned a little bit about you in the few minutes that since I discovered your chat.
Yeah, I'm not.
You are not a race realist. You do not believe that certain races are above other races?
Nope.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we cleared that up, friends. Aren't we
I'm,
glad?
I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Like, what have you seen
I
that
haven't
supports
seen
that claim?
anything. Oh, I've only seen things, allegations that people have put into my chat that I thought were important to address up front.
Got it.
Of course. Now, you don't know anything about me, but my name is Johnny. Nice to meet you.
Is that your real name?
Yes.
Oh, that's a different name for a girl.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice to meet you.
Alrighty, well, I do consider myself to be a progressive. I don't really like the word liberal because it's
Oh,
so
wait,
all
wait.
over the place.
Sorry. Okay, so my chat can't hear. I can barely hear you, and my chat can't hear you at all. So let me get this working.
Okay, no problem. Take as much time as you need. This is gonna be great.
What's weird is I did a 2 hour debate with White Nervosa the other day, and volume was not an issue. So I don't know what the hell is going on tonight. I didn't change the settings at all, but for some reason I can't hear shit.
Okay, so what you might need to do, what OBS are you using?
Uh, the regular one,
Streamlabs OBS or Milquetoast OBS?
the non-Streamlabs one.
Non-Streamlabs one. Okay, I'm not really sure. In my mixer in Streamlabs OBS, I have the option to add desktop audio. And desktop audio is what controls whether or not my chat can hear you and my Discord. So if you don't have a desktop audio setting currently set, then maybe you need to add it.
No, I do. I do.
Interesting.
Hold on.
Scarecrow21X, hello, comrade streamer. I wouldn't call myself a comrade, but welcome, welcome, my dude. Also, Sam Cedar, please refrain from spamming the chat. We are a on-topic chat. Christopher Ventura. Yes, this is who we are debating today. What's up, my dude?
Actually, hold on a second. Oh, I may have found it. I may have found it.
Oh,
Hello?
awesome, awesome. Hello.
Okay, hold on. So let me see from my chat if they hear it.
Hello. Can you hear me, chat?
Guys, is that better now? Because it's better for me. So if it's better for me, it should be better for you too.
All
They're
right.
saying yes.
All right, they can hear me?
Yep, they're all saying yes.
All right, fantastic. Debating unknown liberal. That's hilarious. Okay. Alrighty. So some things that we were getting into earlier today, because I had a little call-in stream earlier today as well. We got into legalizing drugs. So if you'd
Okay.
like to start with that, I'd be more than happy.
So were you just watching my stream? Because I was actually kind of just talking about this topic.
No, actually, I wasn't. I was actually just looking at who was live on the politics tag, and you came up.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to know what my opinion on drug legalization is?
Yeah, legalization or decriminalization, as they are kind of different, if you have differing opinions on both.
Okay. So my opinion when it comes to drugs and legalization, so I personally am not against drugs 100%, but I have a like I question if legalizing drugs is a net positive or a net negative for our society.
Have you looked at Portugal's stats? There's actually some interesting stuff in my Discord right now because somebody mentioned it earlier. But Portugal actually decriminalized all drugs, including heroin. Thank you for the follow, my dude. Thank you, Christopher Ventura, for the follow. There are some interesting stats that lead me to believe that frequency of drug use actually drops while number of drugs overall tried might raise up a little bit over time when you decriminalize.
Yeah, so I would give that study some weight, but also at the same time, I don't really love comparing America to other countries because America is so vastly different than other
Mm.
countries that it isn't a one-to-one comparison. But if it worked, I would definitely, I would give it some weight, but I wouldn't say, okay, it worked for them, it will 100% without question work for us.
See, that's actually why I'm not really a federal person when it comes to passing overall laws like that. I actually really enjoy the fact that we are on a state by state basis and individual states can have their own economies and have their own laws and deal with
Mm.
things in their own way.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense because everybody's got like their own situation going on, and what works for, one geographic location may not necessarily work for, all 49 others.
Exactly. It's like trying to solve the opioid crisis and implementing the same thing in Iowa that you do in New York City. It's just not going to work.
Hmm.
Hmm. This is interesting. Oh, perps. This is the start of a love story. I don't know about that, my dude, but we'll see. Let's see. Pesticide. Comparing a country with a country question mark. Yeah, my dude. I understand your confusion. Zachop, welcome to the chat. Sorry, I just like to
well,
keep up with chat a little bit.
well, you say that you understand his confusion. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Hmm. Uh, as far as alleviating his confusion, comparing a country with a country question mark, I think that he was just unsure as to what countries we were comparing because, of course, Portugal and the U.S. are both in the West, but they're going to be vastly different cultures.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's interesting. So you could take kind of a libertarian view when it comes to drug legalization, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly a libertarian, so basically, what I like to say to my viewers is that if it wasn't for the left being so completely insane, I would basically be an enlightened centrist. Like
Hmm.
that's really where my views are. Like I just take everything issue by issue. I don't toe the party line. People see the MAGA hat and they think I'm a Trump shill. I'm
Hmm.
not.
Okay. What would you call yourself then? Just a Trump fan?
I'm definitely a Trump fan. I definitely support Trump. Is he perfect? No, absolutely not. But I
Hmm.
think he's definitely like as good as things are going to get right now for somebody with my views. In terms of like my politics, so like socially, I would technically be a liberal, but I really have an issue with the modern day left to the point where I don't even like to use that label to describe myself.
Yeah, actually, that's why I don't use the term leftist either. I use the term progressive, because I do
Yeah,
go
which
issue by issue.
I also don't like that term either though, because
Really?
I feel like the term progressive implies that like everything must always change and we are not making progress unless we are constantly changing. But the problem with that is like if it's not broken, then we don't need to fix it. And I feel like the left isn't satisfied unless things are constantly changing.
Hmm. No, I actually use progressive in the sense that we progress toward an ideal, not necessarily that we are constantly marching forward, progressing. You know what I'm saying? But I
Right.
do understand that particular semantic argument.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, you said something earlier that I thought was very interesting. Um, as far as being a libertarian, I would say that I'm a classic liberal, but I am also a modern liberal. I believe in the sanctity of public trust and understanding that those less fortunate will be taken care of, but also I believe in the rights of the individual.
Okay.
Hmm.
So it sounds like we're gonna have to find something to disagree on here, otherwise it's not going to be the most interesting debate.
That's very true. Yeah. So, what are some things that you think people get wrong about Trump? In fact, we don't even have to call this a debate. We can call it a discussion because that's kind of what it's been so far. Us just trying to get common ground and see what our what each of our personal views are. So, what are some things that you think uh, people get wrong about Trump, or that he gets too much flack for?
So I think that the biggest problem with the left when it comes to Trump is that they take things that are clearly hyperbole, they take them literally. So a lot of times you'll see Trump, he'll say these totally outrageous things. And like me as a Trump supporter, because I support him, because I get him, I know what he really means. I just, we laugh at him, we say it's 40 chess, so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
the problem with the left is because they hate him so much, they take things that are clearly hyperbolic, they take them literally, and then they'll use that as like a justification to attack him.
So,
And it's
hmm.
very dishonest because there is about 1,000 legitimate reasons why you can dislike Trump, why you could disagree with him, but there's no need to take something hyperbolic literally. Like it's like you're discrediting the legitimate claims you have against him when you're taking things that are clearly hyperbolic literally.
Okay. So, first and foremost, I'm going to tell you why I don't like Trump, and then after that, a couple of people in the chat have suggested some good topics, so I'll introduce those topics. I'm going to tell you why I don't like Trump. I feel very strongly, as a person who is interested in the law, is interested in the judicial process and the legal process of the United States, I believe that there are certain accommodations that a leader must make in order to make his people feel safe. Her people, what the fuck ever. I hate it when people are like, his and her, and it's just whatever. In order to make their people feel safe, a leader must be selfless and make certain accommodations. That involves avoiding things like extremely hyperbolic statements that will freak people out if they're not native English speakers. If he says something hyperbolic and it freaks out a North Korean leader, for instance, what are we gonna do? The second
Okay, can
reason.
I respond quick to that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I totally understand that. The thing is, so like for me personally, Donald Trump is a breath of fresh air because I would prefer somebody who gives it to you straight than somebody who will lie to you with a smile on their face. And politicians of the past, they were prim, they were proper, but it comes off as very robotic and disingenuous. So yes,
Hmm.
I totally like this is the thing. Like I hear you and it is legitimate, but from my perspective, like I would hope that Donald Trump is reshaping how presidents behave in the future.
Oh, I'm
Because
sure that he is.
I hope he is. I hope that we don't revert back to like this artificial, like on script talking point like automation type presidents of the past because they're being fake, they're lying to you. Why do we prefer that over somebody like Donald Trump who yeah, maybe he's a bumbling idiot sometimes, but at least you're getting like straight up Trump.
On some points, I do agree with you. On other points, someone in my chat just made a good point. He's not being straight when he uses hyperbole, and he's not being straight when he threatens to do things that he doesn't have the permission, the authority, technically, or the votes to do.
Well,
So when he brings about these vague threats to end things and to take away things that we may not necessarily want taken away, then he's freaking people out, and it's not good leadership.
I think that that's just politics. I think whether it's left or right, I think this is just the way the game is played, and
Whether left or right, I think that he's just not a leader. I think that's really what it is. But also, my other problem with Trump is that I do believe he has obstructed justice. Whether or not he colluded with any Russian government, I don't believe that there's evidence to prove that, especially after reading the bulk of the necessary parts of the Mueller report. I don't believe that there is evidence to say he colluded with anyone during the election. However, if he did not collude with anyone during the election, I would not expect him to do things like try to fire the person investigating him, try to make other people fire the person investigating him, which is not technically legal, and encourage people not to encouraged, I believe it was, who was it that he encouraged not to uh, submit to the subpoena and therefore to be in contempt of court. He actually congratulated this person for being in contempt of court because he didn't, quote, break. And those are
Hmm.
all very questionable, very strange things for an innocent person to do, although I do admit that there is no evidence to the contrary of him being innocent.
Yeah, I think so. Basically, if somebody's making slanderous claims about you, I think it's only natural to want to do everything you can to stamp out those claims. Does it come off
Again,
as
those are I, the first initial reaction that somebody might have, yes, but I don't believe that a leader or a wise person or a person of true peace with their innocence, who is truly at peace with their innocence, would be doing those things. I think that part of it has to do with the fact that he's gotten whatever he wants his entire life, and when he can't immediately get something that he wants, he starts to freak out and he acts kind of like a little kid. And I don't like the leader of the free world acting like a little kid. I just don't.
okay, so I hear you, and there's really not much I could say to change your mind about it. But
Mm.
I don't think that he acted any differently than any other leader would have acted if a false claim of such a serious degree was made against him. So I mean, like as a personal anecdote, I'm called a racist, I'm called a white nationalist, a fascist. Every single day I stream, I'm called these names. Now, and I get defensive. Now, you can say to me, "Oh, well, why are you getting defensive if you're not any of these things?" Well, because you're slandering me, and I mean, one of the first question you asked me was if I'm a racist, essentially. So, like, of course I'm gonna get defensive because I have to protect my character. And Donald Trump, we know that like Donald Trump has a very very massive ego, so he's gonna take it a lot worse than even someone like I'm going to. And I get it. Like he is very immature and
Mm.
he is very one dimensional at times. I get it. I hear you. But like this whole Russia thing, it's not gonna help you win the 2020 election. Really,
Oh
what the
no.
left what the left needs to do is they need to focus on putting forward a platform that is palatable to the working class American. And when you look at the Democratic Party and you look at the things that they're saying, they're talking about abolishing ICE. You guys are in favor of sanctuary cities. You guys are talking about delivery date abortions. We're talking about letting convicts vote. Like, is this how is it just like, do you think that that's a message that speaks to the average American?
Okay. You have to think about who the average American is in your eyes, and then you have to think about who other people might think the average American is. Because for a lot of people, letting their relatives and themselves, people who have been in jail before, letting them vote, um, allowing them certain privileges that they weren't privy to before, those might be helpful, but I do admit that that should not be the forefront of the left. Here's my problem with the left, which is that nobody on the left, so many of them are neoliberal shills,
Hmm.
and they are not getting big money out of politics. The first thing that needs to happen before we pass any common sense legislation on guns, on transgender rights, on anything like that, the first thing that needs to happen is we need to get big money out of politics
Hmm.
and overturn Citizens United so that corporations are no longer able to lobby like people and the individual vote will matter as much as it used to. That's the first thing. And so far, the only person on the left who's even advocating that in their primary stance is Amy Klobuchar, who nobody knows and has no chance of winning because she's not famous.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I just don't think in America it's ever going to happen. Like politics, it's just a corrupt world, and I, I I hear you and I agree with you. Like I would absolutely agree that money should be removed from politics. Corporations should be able to buy elections, but I also don't think it's unfortunately for the time being it's not practical. It's not going to happen, and I would actually be curious if you could, like, I asked this question a lot to people on the left. They're never able to give me a good answer. But
Hmm.
I asked people on the left, why should I vote Democrat in 2020?
Why should you vote Democrat in 2020?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
gonna
so,
preface this with you shouldn't have to vote Democrat because we shouldn't
yeah,
have this hardline two-party system, but unfortunately, for the time being, this is how we work. The
right.
reason that you should vote for a Democrat in 2020 is first and foremost so that we can get good common sense social legislation passed. There are a lot of people who are struggling right now, and there are a lot of people who don't have the means to live their life in a way that is convenient or safe, and we need to help those people. That's the primary reason. Out of compassion, I vote left, first and foremost. Now, as far as an economic stance, I am personally both a capitalist and a socialist. Uh, if you view socialism in the classical sense as a precursor to communism, then of course that would be contradictory. But if you view socialism in the modern sense, which is a government spending its money in a socially conscious way, then of course capitalism and socialism can coexist perfectly fine.
Well, that's what we have here in America.
We do have it to some extent, but it doesn't work the way that it should. And so you should vote for a Democrat who is against benign bureaucracy. You should vote for a Democrat who promises to actually pass legislation and make jobs and make things work. There are so many social aspects that would create jobs. One thing that I advocate for is parenting licenses, and that is if you want to get welfare or WIC or food stamps for you and your children, you have to take a short parenting class.
Interesting.
And I believe that would create not only thousands of jobs, but it would help so many people who are young or single parents.
Okay, so first of all, we don't need help with the economy right now. So like the thing is, you're talking about we need to create more jobs. Right now, unemployment is essentially at historic lows, or if not historic lows, at like 50-year lows. So you're talking about we need socialism to create jobs. Well, right now we don't
No,
need a
it's
Democrat.
one reason. It's not the primary reason, but it's one
Oh,
reason, yes.
it's one reason, but it's not even really a valid reason because I like as much as you dislike Donald Trump, the one thing you cannot take away from him is that the economy is doing absolutely phenomenal. So you're saying that people aren't doing well in this economy. It simply isn't true. People of
Hmm.
all demographics, the unemployment rates are essentially at all-time lows.
No, I didn't say that people weren't doing well in the economy. I said that people aren't able to live their lives in a safe way. We are not protecting the people who need to be protected.
I
Do you see
I
what I'm saying?
I don't think it's true. I think that's sort of like the narrative, but I don't think it's true. I think that everybody, obviously, different people have different opportunities, of course,
Hmm.
but I think overall, when you look at how people are living, like everyone has an iPhone, whatever, like they're the lower class in this country is not what the lower class in this country was even 50 years ago. If you were lower class 50 years ago, you were eating a loaf of bread for dinner. If you're lower
Hmm.
class today, you have an iPhone, you have air conditioning, you have clean running water. And I'm not saying these people shouldn't have these things, but like the idea that there's like this, sizable percentage of the population out there that is suffering in any serious way. I, I don't see it, and I see that more as a narrative than as a reflection of reality.
Let me tell you my personal experiences, and I also do want to point out, not for you, but for the audience, for anybody who's out there watching this VOD, Clint, Michigan still does not have clean. Flint, Michigan, I'm sorry. Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water. We need to remember that. We need to speak it. We need to shout it from the rooftops. Flint
Why is
needs
that?
clean water. Flint needs clean water. Why do you think Flint needs clean water, my friend? Why do you think
No,
Flint needs
Mayor.
clean water?
No, I'm saying why don't they have clean water?
Why don't they have clean water? First of all,
Yeah.
because of bureaucracy. First of all, second of all, because we have so much disgusting, just ridiculous bullshit in our politics right now that we can't even get legislation passed to give them the infrastructure to give them clean water. And
Okay.
third, a lot of people don't even realize that they don't have clean water yet. So people have stopped donating the clean water. People have stopped donating gallons of water because they think that, oh, it's been 5 years, it must be solved by now. And that's not true.
Okay. I mean, I think there's more to it than that, but it's really not that important of an issue. Well, I mean, I don't want to say it's not
Mm.
important. I don't want to say it's not important, but I think there's probably more to it than that. But we can move on to the next
Of
question.
course, of course. What were you asking me, because I promised to answer your question.
Oh, like, so one thing that I didn't include when I was asking you why I should vote Democrat is
Mm.
like the fact that I am a straight white male.
Mm.
Now, would you agree that the Democratic Party has extremely hostile rhetoric towards straight white men?
The Democratic Party, as far as I know and as far as I am currently seeing, does not have rhetoric against straight white men. Now, there are people in the United States who are not part of the mainstream left who do have very hostile rhetoric against straight white men. But I actually find, in interacting with those very people, a lot of them are not even mainstream left. A lot of them are either extremely communistic left, or they in fact fall into a very nationalist right wing sort of spectrum. And so
I'm not familiar.
I think what I'm trying to get across to you is those are the very loud minority that we always reference when it comes to, let's say, hardcore Trump supporters and people who want to get rid of gay rights and people who want to get rid of abortion. A lot of those people are the extreme, okay? And so when you
I
pay
don't think
attention
it's
to the extreme, then you get a skewed view.
well.
As a
So
left,
are you
I'm
telling me that the average college professor is like the thing is, so if we look at universities and we look at the percentage of college professors that are openly left of center,
mhm.
I think it's 70%. I think it's 80%. If you see what they're teaching in these classrooms, you see it every day on the internet. They're just bashing white people. These people are leftists. These are people that will vote for Bernie Sanders or vote for Elizabeth Warren.
Let me tell you something about
When I hear
academics
this
real quick, my
when I hear this
friends.
rhetoric as a straight white male, like I wish that I wasn't reduced to immutable characteristics. I thought that was racist, but apparently it's not. If you're doing it towards somebody who's white, I wish it didn't come down to this. But as a straight white male, I honestly feel like I have no option but to vote for somebody like Donald Trump.
All right, so you don't want to vote for the leftists because you say that the people who vote left are against you. So the friend of my enemy is my enemy is essentially the argument that you're making, first and foremost. Second of all, let me tell you something about academics, okay? My boyfriend is an academic. I'm an academic. My my people are academics, and there are two kinds of academics in this world. One is the straight white male. He's usually in some sort of engineering or math or something like that. The hard sciences.
That's me.
Very generally straight white male. Okay? The other kind of academic is the historian, the person who's teaching the social sciences. And yes, it has become okay in this country to admit that lots of Western colonialism was perpetrated by white people. It has become mainstream knowledge that colonialism as a whole in the West was perpetrated by white people. But the people who are getting offended about that and thinking that we're talking about them in particular, no, we're talking about white people from 100, 200 years ago. The fact that you still benefit as being a white person who's still at the top of the hierarchy is because of those people. And as long as you understand that and give a helping hand up where other people need it, nobody should have a problem. But so many straight white men are saying, "You're calling my people colonists or colonialists. You're calling my people," as if we're calling them and their family colonialists. Did you enslave anyone? No, but you're getting offended about it.
Right, because I think implicitly, I think that, I'm supposed to feel guilt for the sins of people that I have absolutely no bloodline connection to.
Hmm.
Like white guilt, for example, is something that's extremely prevalent among the left, and it's something that's used to bludgeon people and to make them afraid to speak their true beliefs. And oh, everything you say is racist. And
So, what are
like,
your true beliefs I'm really interested in this. What are your true beliefs that you can't espouse because you are white?
well, so as a white person, when I talk about race, I'm called a racist. When anybody else talks about race, it's completely white men are not allowed to talk about race. If a white man
How
talks
would you
about
want
race,
to talk about race?
it depends on the topic of conversation. Like if we're talking about immigration, for example, right? Like you're telling me that like I should vote for Democrats because we should push forward more socialist policies that will help the poorest of the poor or the most oppressed people of our society. It will lift them up. But the problem is you're simultaneously for a perpetual wave of migration into this country. So you don't want to secure the
I'm
border.
actually not. I do
Well,
want to point that out, but I'm actually not. But yes, go on.
okay, well, the party that I'm asking you to convince me to vote for, right? Your party does not want to secure the border. Your party is for a perpetual wave of immigration into this country. And then on top of that, you're for socialism. So, how do you expect somebody like me to get on board with a plan like that? You know what that sounds like to me?
Hmm.
That sounds like 33% of my paycheck going to taxes. That's not enough, and that's going to have to increase so we could help these people who came here yesterday. Like I'm not footing the bill for these people. I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. I don't hate anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I know they just love their families and they're trying to do what's best for their families. I get that. But it's not going to happen on my dime. And if you're for that, then you could pay for that. But I personally don't want to. Like that's not why I wake up in the morning. That's not why I have 2 degrees. That's not why I work 40 hours a week. That isn't why I did this. So I could pay for everybody in the world to just come on over and we're not going to enforce the law. We're not going to send them back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
All right. So here's where I disagree with you on what you think the left wants to do. The left, some people are for. There are extremists on the left who are for literally anyone coming into this country no matter what, it's not a big deal. I am personally for people being free to come into this country as long as they are seeking asylum from some kind of war. And even then, I believe that
that's an extreme minority, though. That's an extreme
yes, it is
minority.
an extreme minority, and that's why I pointed out. So,
But it's not
I am
reflective of the bigger
personally
problem.
I am personally for common sense screening and making sure that people are not being detained here for excessive periods of time because I don't personally want my money to go to what essentially comes down to whatever kind of camp you want to call it. They're camps of people who are just being kept here because they supposedly have to be processed before they can
They
be
do.
pushed back
They
across the border.
They
And
do, though. What do you mean supposedly? They absolutely do. These people, they come here with no documentation. I don't know what percentage of them are being trafficked in, but what happens is the adults will use the children because they know that it extremely increases their chances of getting into the country. So they're trafficking children into the country, and the government is protecting the children. So we detain them and we separate them until we can confirm that they actually are the parents. What's wrong with that? What are we supposed to do? Just let them run amok and then say, "Hey guys, come back." They don't though.
supposedly, as I was saying, supposedly we have to give them all this documentation. We have to spend money in order to
What
house
do you mean
them.
supposedly?
Yes, supposedly, according to people who believe that we should keep these people in camps and separate them, we
What should
have
we
to give
do?
them all this we should put them back across the border.
You mean back into Mexico?
What on earth do you want me to tell you something where I think we can just pull money out of our asses so that we can give these people whatever the hell they want? No, I just want them to be sent back across the border. Like it's as simple as that. And if they're
I agree with you.
I mean, there's no reason to keep them in camps for months to years at a time with children separated from their parents
If
in
they want to
order.
come into this country, they have to be processed, right? So let's say you are a legitimate asylum seeker or you're a legitimate, immigrant, right? We can't just let them in. They
Okay, so
must be
what is your
processed.
definition of legitimate? Because my definition of legitimate is going through the actual real sets of documentation that you can already get before you come into this country in order to seek asylum.
Legitimate is like if you come with children, if you're actually the parent of those children, that would be considered legitimate to me. But there
So,
is a, I don't know the exact numbers at this very moment. I'm sure somebody in one of our chats could look it up. But there's some percentage of these children that are being trafficked in by people who are not their parents.
and
That's
I
not a good.
believe you, and I have heard of this on the NPR and on all of those other news sources. I realize that that is a small percentage.
Right, but still, like even if it's like 10% of millions of people, of hundreds of thousands of people, that's still a large amount of people. And what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, we trust you. We trust that this is your child. Oh, well, unfortunately, if you want to come to this country, then we must know without a shadow of a doubt that you are who you say you are. Because what if you have a criminal record? Like what if you're a bad dude? We have to process them. Like, see, this is you're trying to convince me to vote Democrat, but this is insane. You're telling me that we shouldn't
I'm not
detain these
trying to
people.
convince you to vote Democrat. You asked me why you should vote Democrat, and I suppose I told you why I'm voting Democrat. I don't think that you should vote any way that you're uncomfortable with.
No, but I
But
want I
what I
want to be
want
convinced to vote Democrat. I want that so bad. I want to hear a compelling argument.
what I want is for people to, and I'm gonna get to that in just a second, I promise. But what I want is for these people who are legitimate to be led into the country as quickly as possible and to be given the documentation to be able to work, so that they can work and pay taxes and pay for their own way.
So you think that anybody who comes to our border should be let in?
I'm saying that any. First of all, what about any of the stuff that I just said makes you think we should just let anybody in?
Well, that's
I
what you just said. You just said
No,
that if somebody
I
comes to our
said
border, we should give
legitimate
them the paper.
people. I said legitimate people who are really coming in and who have nowhere else to go. To me, our legitimates are two different things. To me, legitimate is more having to do with people who are seeking asylum, or people who are coming here as have been requested to work. So people who really specifically want to move here because they want to become an American citizen, because they want to have better opportunities. Those people should obviously be processed, but those people don't have any reason to leave their country until they're processed. They're not actively fleeing war. But the people who are actively fleeing war, yes, I believe that we should give them some sort of asylum for at least a short period of time.
Yeah, but the asylum seekers are such an extreme minority that they're not even like a part of the conversation that we're having.
I
And
don't
so,
I don't understand how that is when there is an entire, like, the caravan that Trump always likes to talk about. Those people are asylum
no,
seekers.
they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Why do you not
They're
believe that?
because they're not. Because
They've been
what
they've been
country are they
being,
fleeing from? What war are they fleeing from?
I believe it's Honduras.
No, they're coming from all over South America. They're coming from Mexico. There's some rumors out there that they're actually being funded by groups within America.
I don't listen to rumors, dude. I listen to fucking NPR and the occasional independent news source. I don't listen to like weird internet rumors when it comes to that kind of thing.
Well, I'm not talking about a weird internet rumor. I'm talking about something that I've heard in the past and I believe to be true. And I could try to look it up and see if there is anything true. But also, NPR, by the way, is not a neutral source. You're saying NPR is if you think it's like this, like a neutral news source. It isn't.
What would you? Okay, I am an American citizen. My taxes go to pay for NPR. Okay?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay? There are people on NPR who vote Democrat, who vote Republican, who vote whatever
No,
way.
no, wrong.
Yes.
No.
Okay. So
And
you've listened to
NPR is
NPR, and you've heard people say that and you've heard people say that they're exclusively voting Democrat or whatever on NPR. Like, I
yeah.
don't
There's
understand.
there's also a Democrat who works on Fox News, and there's also a Republican who works. RBC. Are we going to delude ourselves into believing that these organizations don't have political biases?
I'm telling you that it's the best that I have,
That's
and I
dangerous,
listen
though.
to
If you
it.
think that NPR is a neutral source of news, that is actually dangerous.
When did I
That
say that NPR was a neutral source of news? When
well,
did that
apparently,
come out of my mouth?
do you think it's a neutral source of news?
No, but
Do you think
it's
it has a
one of.
bias?
I think that human beings have biases.
Do you think that NPR as a news organization has a political bias, and if so, in which direction is it?
I believe that NPR appears to be, under the Trump organization, a left leaning news source
That's incredible.
because I've been listening to NPR my entire life. I've been watching LPB my entire life, which is PBS in my state. I've been watching it my entire life. I have been exposed to the left, the right, and everything in between through these organizations. Under the Trump umbrella, it does appear that
No,
NPR
this is
and
just a convenient.
PBS.
It's just a convenient excuse that these people use to justify their
Okay, are
bias.
you gonna interrupt me or are you gonna let me speak a little bit? Because I don't interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. So, under the Trump umbrella, there are people who believe that NPR is leaning farther left. What it actually appears to be for me is these journalists are actually a little bit butthurt because they are not being treated as well as they were before by previous administrations. And so they are putting more emphasis on Trump being a scoundrel, a bad taste in America's mouth. Thank you, Tane Walrus, for following. Or Tane Wairua? I'm not sure what that username is, but thank you for the follow. I believe that it's actually these journalists just being a little bit ass hurt because they're not being treated like princes and princesses when they come to the White House anymore. So they're scrutinizing Trump and absolutely being up his butthole, my friend. They are. If I was Trump, I would have quit a long time ago because they are making his life miserable. Okay? But it's not
Yeah.
that it's necessarily politically left leaning because they are still interviewing people on the right. They are still allowing people on the right to have their voices be heard just as much as people on the left, but they are, as journalists, as the individual journalists who work at NPR, especially the Washington ones, they are scrutinizing Trump more and more and more. But they are not espousing anything that specifically says Trump did something wrong. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have to have a little bit of nuance when you
No.
talk about journalism because you have to remember that journalists are individual people too.
No, they're not.
They are not this big corporation of people. Journalists take a similar oath to that of the Hippocratic Oath to tell the
Oh,
truth.
give me a break.
They
This.
do.
I
It's
mean,
journaling. It is journaling for the public is something it is actually a very profoundly important profession and they
yeah, it
take
used
it
to
very
be.
seriously.
No, okay, so these people are political operatives. They're not journalists, number one. Number two, it was revealed during the 2016 election without any shadow of doubt that the media was colluding with the Democratic Party to work against Bernie Sanders. And actually, one of the reasons why Donald Trump got elected is because Donald Trump was deemed by the Democratic Party to be a Pied Piper candidate. So the media got instructions from the DNC to elevate Donald Trump because they thought that their best chance of victory would be if Hillary Clinton was running against Donald Trump.
Mm.
Okay, and like if you know about the WikiLeaks, you know that if you see the communications that people in the media were having with people in the DNC, there is absolutely no question that these people are colluding with each other at all times. If you want more evidence of this, this is a little bit different. But as you know, yesterday there was this right wing purge where Miley Yiannopoulos, Laura Loomer, Paul Joseph Watson,
I
Alex
am
Jones.
aware, yeah.
Okay, so they were all banned from Instagram. Now, this is not the same as colluding with the DNC, but we saw that the media was colluding with the social media companies because sorry, I got distracted by somebody posting a clip of me in your chat. Um, um, so what happened was there was multiple mainstream news sources who had published the story that these people were banned, before they were even banned, and every single story was posted within 60 seconds of each other. So the idea that journalists are arbiters of truth and that they are moral people and that they take this oath of neutrality, like this is dangerous thinking, because you are taking what these people are saying, and these are political operatives, and you are trusting that this is like neutral information, when it is not. It is completely and utterly biased. And the same goes
Alrighty.
for all right wing media, by the way. Like, I'm not going to sit here and defend Fox News or anything else. The
Here's
mainstream news is
my
completely biased.
here's my point on getting information. At some point, we have to accept that information is going to be biased toward whoever is presenting it to us. At some point, we have to be adults and we have to be realistic and say, yes, every person has a bias. But to feed into the idea that every single person is being dishonest is actually, I believe, dangerous thinking, because it causes you to be paranoid. It causes you to not be able to do what you're supposed to do with all of this information, which is read the facts as they come out and decide for yourself what you're supposed to
People
do.
don't do
This
that
is the
though.
reason this is the reason that I run this stream, is so that I can have access to facts and I can present it to my audience in a way that I believe is truthful. Okay? And they can argue back and forth with me all they want, because that is what this stream is for.
So statistics show that I think it's over 90% of people on the internet do not click through to an article to read it, right? This is why deceptive headlines are so prevalent on the internet. So what you have is, you have deceptive headlines completely shaping political conversations. People, they see the headline, they don't click through to the article, and then all they know is what the headline told them. So and this is done deliberately. Like this is how this is how political narratives are being spread.
Frando, at, at some point, you gotta ask yourself, is that the fault of the media? Or is it the fault of the American people? Now, one of my favorite quotes is something, it's supposedly from Benjamin Franklin, but who knows? Everything's attributed to Benjamin Franklin.
Hmm.
It's Now let me think of it, because the other one that I'm thinking is, you have a republic if you can keep it, and the one that I'm actually thinking of is, the price of democracy is vigilance. Are we vigilant as an American people? Do we pay attention? Do we actually read past a headline? A lot of us don't, and at some point that's the fault of the people at large. And if we suffer for it, we suffer for it.
Okay, I mean, it's sort of hard to fight against. I think that the media knows exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. If these people are supposed to be arbiters of truth, then why are they so deceptive? For example, often you'll hear in the media, you'll hear this meme, and it's an outright lie that Amazon doesn't pay taxes. Now, politicians, when they say this, they know it's a lie. The media, when they write articles about this, they know it's a lie. So why are these people that we're supposed to put all of our faith in, of being arbiters of truth, why are they completely lying to us?
The information is out there as long as you look for it.
But why
The
are they lying to us?
information the information is out there as long as you look for it. The problem, I think, to answer your question, the problem, I think, lies in the 24-hour news pundit culture. When you have 24 hours to fill and you're filling it with pundits rather than journalists, well, then, that's a very important distinction, because pundits are not journalists. Pundits are supposedly commentators, and some of them are supposedly experts, but generally they are commentators. They're generally trained as actors. They're generally trained as TV journalists, which is a different set of training from what you get when you go to college to be an investigative journalist. Okay? So when you have 24 hours to fill and you're filling it with commentators, essentially, You get people who oversimplify. You get people who have their own biases and read a headline maybe in a more sarcastic tone or in a more serious tone, depending on what their bias is. These people are not outright lying most of the time. Sometimes they do, and they generally get a lot of flack for it when they do because people find out, because we have the internet and we can find shit out. We can call CNN liars and we can call Fox News liars because we find it out. But when most of the time they're not outright lying, they are generally oversimplifying or just saying something with their own bias in mind. Okay? And that has to do with the commentator culture. If we didn't have 24-hour news networks, and if we didn't have them filling their time with people who are not technically journalists, I think we'd see less of that.
I think that that is your way of rationalizing what's really going on like all of that. It's just like it's just cope, honestly.
Okay, so you're not Cope Cell, are you? You're full black pill, huh, babe?
It's not black pill. It's like it's just reality. The idea that these people, politics is a dirty game. You know, it, the idea that corrupt human beings would not use the most influential institution in a country to manipulate the collective thought of a population. Like this is like it's so naive. It's insane. Like
Oh,
these are dishonest people. These people go in the same category as lawyers and politicians, journalists.
hmm.
These are the dregs of society. These are truly evil people.
Hmm.
I know you like to. I know in your worldview, like you like to think like, oh no, they would never lie to us. These are truly evil people. Like if you look at the Covington Catholic story, for example, that was pure evil. That should have never been a story, but instead it was wall to wall coverage for 2 days straight. How tell me how the media collectively got that story so wrong?
Let me give you an example of how the media gets something wrong and then it just goes with it that I think is really awful. That is an example of how these people are not evil, they're just bumbling idiots. Okay? If you look at one of the most recent videos by Ask a Mortician on YouTube, I plug her all the time, she's fantastic. Her video is called Why Do We Get Columbine So Wrong? And it goes through and she tells you exactly who these kids were, how they were not bullied, how they were actually quite good with the girls, how they were actually just really charismatic sociopaths and were never in the trenchcoat mafia. They were never goth. They were never anything like that. They were never outsiders. These were just bullies. These kids were bullies. And I say kids like they weren't mass murderers. These mass murderers were bullies before they were mass murderers. And the media ran with the story that they were in the trenchcoat mafia and goth bullied losers because kids who they were interviewing were getting the Columbine shooters mixed up with other goth kids in their same grade. And then the media just ran with it, even after people figured out they weren't talking about the same people. They just ran with it. And then, on top of all that, do you remember the story wherein one of the Columbine shooters pointed a gun at a girl and asked her if she believed in God? Do you remember that story, my friend?
No.
Okay, well, supposedly one of the Columbine shooters pointed a gun at one of the girls he killed and said, "Do you believe in God?" And when she said yes, he shot her down. It turns out that girl didn't even die. The girl who died, who was in the same room, got credit for what this other girl who survived said. And because the church ran with it, the media ran with it. And there have been people who are high up in the media who have said things like, to the church, she will always say yes. To the church, she died, she was a martyr. She actually said those words. And so, because the story had gone too far, they never correct themselves. That's an example of Memba 666, thank you for the follow. That's an example of the media not being outright liars, but being just like the rest of us and kind of bumbling idiots. That's not a conspiracy. That's just
So,
that's just
so
a bunch of people who got the facts wrong because they're imperfect.
okay, so the difference with that example is it's completely apolitical, whereas Covington Catholic is 100% political. So the thing is, the reason why they got it wrong with the Covington Catholic kids is because of their personal animosity towards a white child wearing a hat in support of the president at a pro-life rally, standing face to face with a brown man.
Now, what
So
happened with that? One of the kids was like smirking at the guy and he
see, like
was
the fact that you don't know what happened, this is like this is exactly what the problem with the media is what they do is they put the lie out there, the lie circulates, the lie goes viral, and then when the facts come out, the same media that put out the lie doesn't put out the facts. So here you are, and you're not the first person, by the way, this has
hmm.
happened several times now. Here you are several months later, you still don't even know what happened. And this is not a personal attack. This is very common among people on the left. When I bring this up, they're like, oh, what happened there? The kid did literally nothing. The entire thing in full is on YouTube. And what you can see is the kid, he was standing in place the entire time. He literally did not move a footstep in any direction. And what happened was the Native American man, Nathan Phillips, and the rest of his buddies, they marched over beating a drum, and they walked all the way from wherever they were, and Nathan Phillips got directly into James Sandman's face and was banging his drum inches away from a child's nose. And then what made the news, what got wall to wall coverage? The kid standing there doing absolutely nothing in the same spot he had been standing in the entire time.
Okay. Here's why I don't care. Nobody died.
You
Okay?
don't.
I'm not gonna
It's
pass legislation and I'm not gonna worry about whether or not you vote Democrat or what the fuck ever because of that story. I wanna pass common sense gun legislation because people are dying in this country. I just don't know what that has to do with the media supposedly colluding to.
It's not supposedly though. It's documented. 2016 WikiLeaks. If you don't know about these, look into them and you them all. It will completely. I mean, the fact that the media colluded with the Democratic Party against Bernie. Do you like Bernie Sanders?
I do.
Would you vote for him?
I would.
Okay, so doesn't the fact that the Democratic Party and the media colluded with each other to take Bernie Sanders, who was the more popular candidate, to take him out, that doesn't bother you?
Let me tell you something, dude. The facts were out there, and I knew the facts because I am a vigilant person, and
Yes,
other
but the
people.
average person
The
isn't you.
average person isn't paying attention to the facts, and so the average person believed whatever was fed to them. And
That's my problem.
I can't help that. That's not a problem with the media. That's a problem with the average person. The average person needs to be better educated and more vigilant in America, and we need to change our culture in order to make that happen. That's why I'm so excited for these kids who are real, like, these kids who are getting excited about socialism at like 16. That's so wonderful because it shows they're paying attention and that they
No,
might
it doesn't.
continue
It
to
shows
pay
they're being
attention.
brainwashed.
Socialism is not brainwashing.
They're being subjected to propaganda in school by leftist professors and teachers.
Okay,
They're not paying attention.
at 16 you are not exposed to a professor. Okay? You are
I
not
said teachers and
exposed to
professors.
you okay, at 16 if you're being exposed to a teacher who's telling you how to vote, that teacher is probably going to be fired.
No, because I mean I have an anecdote that would disprove that, but it is Okay, so okay, so you think that journalists tell us the truth. The average person isn't smart enough to find out the truth. Yet we should trust the fact that teachers aren't brainwashing our like this is just so many conflicting things going on here. It's hard to believe that.
What is conflicting? The average teacher is by definition educated.
Oh
And
my
so
god.
and
Oh my god.
I'm not sure what you're saying right now. The average teacher is educated. The average teacher is a person with a degree. But the
That doesn't
average
mean
teacher,
anything.
the average teacher is not allowed, and I know this because my mother is a teacher.
Oh my
My
God.
mother,
Are you serious?
yes, my mother is a teacher. She is not allowed to profess her political beliefs. We are not even allowed. When I was in school, I was excited for Barack Obama to be our next president, and so I asked my mom if we could put a sign in our front lawn. Do you know what she told me? She told me that under federal law, teachers are not allowed to put signs in their lawn or any stickers on their car because it shows that they are biased.
Yeah, I'm sure that law is being real heavily enforced. This is insane to me. I mean, like the idea that professors do not lean mostly liberal and aren't using their personal biases to manipulate and brainwash children. This is totally okay. So this is like an anecdote, but you just gave me your anecdote, so I'm going to give you mine. So I
No,
have two
it's not an
degrees.
anecdote. It is the fact that teachers are prosecuted if they
Oh my
show.
God, prosecuted? Seriously, do you have it?
Yes.
Can you provide me with a single
I'm a.
shred?
Well, fine, I'll Google it if you really want me
No, you
to.
don't have to, but I honestly don't even believe it exists. I just don't want to waste time looking up something so insignificant. But the idea that teachers are being process the amount of evidence that exists out there that teachers and professors have a left-wing bias, it's insurmountable. I mean, I could, after this stream, I could send you hours and hours of YouTube footage of just complete leftist insanity. And from my own personal experience, so I have two degrees. One is completely worthless. It's a journalism degree, which is ironic because we're talking about that. And my other degree is in computer science. That's not worthless, and that's what I do for a living. So when I was a journalist major, I was subjected to propaganda in every single one of my courses. I mean, we would watch documentaries about why George W. Bush was the worst president ever. We would watch Daily Show with Jon Stewart clips as if this was like a neutral source of information. We would. One of my professors did a lecture on why Disney is racist, and he tried to destroy my childhood by telling me why this movie was racist and that movie was racist. Like it. Oh,
If
then
you can't handle something being called racist retroactively, then I don't know how you're going to consume any kind of media. You know, there's an excellent book that teaches people how to think, teaches mathematicians how to think in two dimensions rather than three dimensions. It's called Flatland and it's about triangles, but it's extremely sexist. And if you can't handle that it's sexist, well, then people aren't going to take you seriously. You just have to accept that some media was sexist or was racist at one point. It's not destroying your childhood as long as you're an adult and you can accept that some things used to be racist.
yeah, but I mean, I think that to like when you're a child, and even as an adult, it's hard to see. But when you're a child and you're watching like The Lion King, and when you're watching like they're trying to infuse race and racism into areas where it should never be. Like they're creating a problem that nobody was complaining about. It that you know what I'm saying? Like to infuse race into everything, I feel like it's just so toxic, and it just that's dividing people. When you infuse everything with race, you're not bringing people together.
Would you say that you're a nationalist or a globalist?
I'm definitely not a globalist. I would be a nationalist in a country other than America.
Hmm. Elito, thank you for the follow. Now, I'm going to ask you, are you for people being proud of their race? Or are
Yeah,
you not?
absolutely.
Okay, okay. So, do you believe. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to ask you at this point. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. You were saying something very interesting.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, well, if you're talking about being proud of your race, don't we talk about, black and proud? We talk about gay and proud. People take pride in their identities. Now, when a white person says that I'm white and proud, this is considered a racist statement. This is
Here's
an
why
issue.
it's here's why it's
No,
if,
no, no.
here's
Okay.
here's why you shouldn't say white and proud, okay? Because
Oh
in
my
whiteness was
God.
invented
Oh
in the
my God.
1800s to
Oh my
segregate people.
God. This is
But
amazing. So,
if you said I'm Irish and proud, or if you said I'm a Viking and proud, or if you said I'm Scottish and proud, or if you said I'm Portuguese and proud, well then people wouldn't have a problem with it. But why are you proud of something that is a conglomeration of a bunch of completely different races that only got set up so that we could separate the brown people.
Okay, I obviously disagree with your characterization of events, but when you see me, do you see a white man?
Let me see. Let me look at you real quick. I see someone who is probably Czech. I'm not
Check.
gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna say Czech.
Well, I'm not Czech, but either way, in America, to deny the fact that I'm a white male is it's insane.
Now, if you were mugging me, I'd say, yeah, that was a white dude. He went that way. But if you're gonna tell me that you're proud to be white, well, then I expect you to be an adult and know what that sounds like and to have a little bit more pride in what you actually are. So, what are you? Because personally, I'm Irish.
Okay, so like in 2019, if you are Irish or you are Italian or you are German or you are Russian or you are, any of these majority white ethnicities, you are lumped politically into one category, and that category is called white.
Do you
So if you want
believe
to
that
have
we
this,
should be that way, or do you believe that we could do better?
this is what it is. This is the political strategy of the left, is to pit all minority groups against the white population. This is what politics has become.
Why
Politics,
exactly do you think they're doing that? Because
it's political strategy.
white people make up 80% of the United States of America.
I don't think it's that high, but
Yes, it is actually. I learned that on stream. It was quite
uh,
embarrassing. I thought that we were approximately 40% black because I grew up in a 50% black area, and it turns out that blacks only make up about 16% of the United States.
yeah, despite being 13%, yeah, 13% is the figure I usually use.
Ah.
But I would have thought 75% white. But okay, so is that the way it should be? It doesn't matter. This is what it is.
Hmm.
And why is it that way? Political strategy, right? Basically, Democrats, they're all in on minorities, and the Republican Party is all in on white people. It's really that, or the remaining portion of the white population. This is all politics is. Like, we talk about these issues. These issues are totally inconsequential. You talk about social issues. None of this matters. We're this is a totally race based power struggle that's going on right now.
Okay.
We talk about these issues. These issues are totally irrelevant because if you look at the way these populations of people are voting, they are voting for the political party that is going to increase their people's power and status in society. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I think every group should be allowed to do that. But when black people vote 94% for Barack Obama, no one says anything. When 50% of white people vote for Donald Trump, it's like, oh, why are white people so fucking racist?
Hmm.
This is the issue that I have with the left, is the double standard. Like I said to you, that as a white man, I can't say I'm white and proud. And then you had, a rationalization, a justification. The point is this is a double standard. And maybe in your mind you can rationalize that double standard, but to me, I do not accept your rationalization. It is just clearly a double standard that I oppose with all of my being.
Okay. So African Americans are from Africa, and they say, "I am African American and proud." They a lot of them cannot trace their culture or their heritage back because they were brought here, or their ancestors rather were brought here as slaves. Okay?
Right.
So there is a standard that you say, "I am black and proud," because so many people who are black cannot, literally do not have the ability to identify with anything else. However, as white people, generally, with few exceptions, we have the privilege of being able to trace our heritage back to the actual country of origin from which our ancestors immigrated to the United States. If you would like to be proud of something that isn't the big lump of white people who generally didn't even like each other, Catholics and fucking Irish people, feel free to look into the IRA. Those are white people killing each other. So if you want to be proud of something, why not be proud of the place where you actually come from. Instead of
So
doing the inciting thing, the one that you know is gonna piss people off, and saying, hey, I'm proud to be white.
because I should be able to say I am proud of being white the same way a black man could say they are proud of being
Did
black.
I
It is
not just explain to you why it's not a double standard? Because
no, that's
black
no, no, no.
people literally
That's your
cannot
rationalization. That's your
be.
rationalization.
Okay, how are you going about the world? Because I go about the world in a way that puts rational thought and logic into everything that I say and do.
Right. So when a leftist sees me, they see a straight white man. They see an oppressor. They see the patriarchy. They see me as like a villain from a Disney film. Like I'm the bad guy. Okay. Now
Do
when
you
this is
talk
the
to black people? Black people think we're cute for even thinking we give that much of a shit about it.
no,
Like,
no, I wasn't talking about black
honestly.
people. I wasn't talking about black people. About liberals.
Okay, go on.
So, like, when this is the rhetoric that I hear over and over and over again, it doesn't matter if I'm Italian. That doesn't matter because that's not what's being held against my head. That's not what I'm being bludgeoned with. I'm being grouped together with all other white Europeans, and you can talk about what happened 100 years ago. You can talk about how the Irish and the Germans, how these people weren't friends, and that's true. But it is irrelevant to 2019 America. In 2019 America, all these different groups, yeah, they didn't get along in the beginning, but we assimilated quite well. And in 2019, we've basically formed this conglomeration, and we still have our differences,
Okay,
but
I
politically,
don't agree at all because I grew up in the rural South. I grew up Protestant, and I, as a person who was born in 1994, was exposed to anti-Catholic, anti-Irish, and just every other kind of weird social thing that you could have against people. I grew up in a trailer. I grew up again with anti-white trash shit being thrown in my face. Like, white people still fight, and it's on a mostly socioeconomic basis. I'll give you that. But there's still anti-Irish people out there. There's still anti-Catholic people out there. White people fight all the time. I just don't understand why you have to lump yourself in with every other white person and say, hey, I'm going to be proud of the fact that my skin is a different color from yours. It just doesn't make any sense.
okay, so I didn't choose for things to be this way. Okay. I'm just responding to the political rhetoric that I hear. Okay. So I would rather
Mm.
live in the world where I never even had to say things like, oh, it's okay to be white, proud to be white. Right. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of your identity. And my perceived identity, whether it's even true or not, my perceived identity is that I am a white male. Now, let's say I was a transgendered person and I thought I was a Z, right? Would you tell me that I'm not a Z? Would you tell me that, oh, well, historically or biologically, that isn't true? No, because you respect how people identify themselves, correct?
I do.
So then why don't you respect the fact that I identify as white because I'm white?
Because it's
That's that.
non-specific and strange.
Well, so is being a fucking Z. That's what the fuck
Okay,
does that mean?
that's a complete mischaracterization.
What?
As a non-binary person, I say that's a complete mischaracterization of
What
the
does that mean? You're
trans.
non-binary?
I'm non-binary. I neither identify as as a man or a woman.
Oh, get the fuck out of here!
Yeah,
You
and I
that is
plan on
bullshit.
yeah, and I plan
That
on
is
I
bullshit.
am
Holy
hyperandrogynous
shit!
because
Call the yikes department. This is
because
bullshit. No one believes
okay,
that.
can
No one
you
believes that.
can you please stop with the ad hominem really
That this
quick?
this is fashion for you. That is
No.
total bullshit.
Actually, I plan on getting on testosterone and changing my body permanently because I am already hyperandrogynous with the
Please don't do
same.
that.
Uh, wow,
Please don't do that.
wow.
I
Let's bring back the respect really quick.
I
Let's
am
bring back the
respecting you. If I
respect.
didn't respect you,
Nah,
I would say
nah.
do it.
All that bullshit about saying it's bullshit and saying that I'm lying and saying that it's fashion for me, saying that that I didn't feel this way when I was a small child. All that ad hominem shit is not welcome in my chat People, you can ask my chat. I've been streaming for 10 months, and I was very open about the fact that I was under the trans umbrella from the very beginning of this stream. You can ask anybody who's been following me for 9 months or more.
I'm not seeing it, but okay.
You're not seeing it because I was born female, and you have very little nuance from what I can understand about you as far as
Yeah,
the gender department.
because it's not real. But okay, we can continue.
As not real. Okay, no, we're not going to be talking about that anymore. We're about to switch over to this. Why do you think that transgender people and non binary people are not real? By the way, I don't know your name.
My name is Red Pill Gaming.
You really want me to call you Red Pill Gaming every single time?
You could just call me Red or whatever is easy. Call me whatever you want. Like I'm
All
not gonna
right.
dox myself. People like
So
me can't.
red.
People like me can't put their names on the internet. So it's a benefit of being a leftist if you can put your name out there.
I disagree, actually, but okay. I put my
Well,
name out there because I plan on people trusting me and having a sense of reality and knowing who I am as a person. But
people
okay.
trust me. People trust me. You can't. Your livelihood isn't at risk. My view is sponsored by America, so it's not easy being a Trump supporter.
If you say so, okay. Why do you
Now,
think that the experiences of millions of people are invalid?
is it millions? I think it's less than a. I think it's less than half of a percentage point. I think the
Why do
transgender
you
population in America is not millions.
why are we confining it to America? I'm talking about the human population and the fact that there are people who are intersex and the fact that there are people who are transgender all over the world. Did you just laugh at intersex?
Actually, I didn't. I sniffled my nose.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I'm not watching you, so.
Oh,
Yeah, the fact that there are people who are intersex, the fact that there are people like me who have more testosterone than the average female, or people like, I don't even know, just some random dude out there who exists who has less testosterone than the average male. There are people who are intersex and there are people who are transgender absolutely everywhere, and there have been for thousands of years as far as we
um,
can tell. So
did you
why
get
do you
tested?
believe that that's invalid?
Did you get your testosterone levels tested?
Yes, I did.
And what was the result of that? If it's not too personal to ask.
I, they just told me that they were higher than average. That's why I'm 6 feet tall.
You're 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty tall. Okay, so to be like completely honest with you, I would love to have this conversation with you. I cannot have this conversation with you though.
Okay.
It's not. My opinion is not allowed on Twitch.
Your opinion is that these people, people like me, people who are intersex, people who are transgender don't exist?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything at all. It's this is something that people will clip me for, and they will get me banned for.
They will
This is not.
they will clip you. You got like what? I'm looking at your page right now. All right, you. I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but you're not exactly Destiny over here, and I just don't think that anybody's gonna get you banned for saying something that is educational. Which, by the way, I'm gonna look directly into the camera right now, and I'm gonna say everything that we're saying right now is for educational purposes. This should be not this should not be taken as advice or as hardline fact. These are all opinions, and they are here on the internet for educational purposes for anyone who would like to know about leftists or right-wing people. Now, please continue.
Well, so you have several people in your chat who have tried on multiple occasions to get me banned. This is actually what this is why they are constantly out to get me. Sam Cedar is one. I'm really important is another. I'm sure there's others that I'm missing right now. Um, these people are trying to get me off the platform every single day. So this is not trust me. I wish we could have this conversation. I truly do because I it's a topic I actually enjoy talking about. But unfortunately, my opinion on this is not allowed, and I can't comment on it further. And I'm not being dramatic. It truthfully is not allowed on Twitch.
All right, I'm gonna say it. Trans people don't exist. Clip me. Do it. Get me banned right now.
Right, but you're a part of a protected class, so and you obviously don't mean it. One and two, you're a part of a protected class, so you
So
are not held.
if you say that trans people don't exist, you don't have to say it out loud, but you when I say you believe trans people don't exist, is your answer yes?
I have no answer to that question.
Interesting.
I need to think about that more. I'm sorry. Like once again, I'm not the one who chose for things to be this way. This is the game we have to play, unfortunately. So what you would rather do is, well, not you personally, but what your side wants to do is make people like me. You want to silence people like me, right? You want to you like, and this is what you create though. So now you want to have a conversation. I can't have this conversation because of the people who watch you. The people in your chat are the reason why I cannot respond to your
Oh,
question.
I guarantee nobody in my chat wants to get you banned. The people in my chat want me to have content, so they would much rather you exist.
No, they definitely would not.
Especially somebody like Water O'Clock. You
Sam
know,
Cedar, I'm really important. They've both on multiple occasions they've clipped me. I've seen the clips. I've deleted the clips. I banned Sam Cedar on all 20 of his sock puppet accounts. These people are out to get me. They cannot accept the fact
I
that
just
somebody
don't
like me
understand.
exists.
I just don't understand what they're clipping.
Well, because when you're a leftist, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic. So
Okay. I'm a leftist and I have been sitting here having perfectly reasonable conversation with you all night, but
well, you also have the guts to join a conversation and have a conversation with me. A lot of these people are snakes hiding in the grass,
which, by the way,
and
I do want to go back. If we're really not gonna say anything about what your opinion is, I am gonna say really quick. This is not fashion. This is not cute. This got me disowned from my family, which I have talked about on this stream before. I have been disowned from my family for not only my views but the way I identify. This is not a fucking joke to me, and you can clip that bitch.
well,
By the way, we
I
are a
don't know you.
PG-13 chat, but we do say fuck. That is my warning. That is my one warning. I haven't warned people in a while, so.
I don't know you, so I really can't comment, and very possible that I'm wrong. I have people in my chat telling me that you're trying to bait me. I'm gonna believe them over you. I'm sorry, but if you're one of the good
I'm
ones,
baiting
then
you? Wait, what
if
does
you're
that
one of
mean? What would you say? What would I be baiting you to say? I'm really
something,
genuinely asking.
okay, so let me think about this.
I was taking the opportunity because I had already accepted that you weren't going to say anything. I was taking the opportunity to tell anyone in the audience who had a question about me that this is not fashion for me, because I was actually really like kind of pissed off when you said that this was fashion.
Like I said, I don't know you. It is possible that it's true. My biased opinion, just seeing you, my biased opinion would be what I said it was, but I won't go further down that path because I don't want to offend you if it is indeed the truth. But you have to understand that there are a lot of people out there who are it's a trendy thing right now. There's a lot of people out doing it because it is fashionable. Like it is for some people. Politics is fashion for people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's just awful that you would think that people would risk being disowned by their family like I've been in order to be fashionable and trendy. But that kind of shows how paranoid you are, which honestly I don't mind. Like the whole paranoid persona is kind of working for you, my dude.
I'm not
Um,
paranoid. I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic, and I like to see evidence before I believe things blindly.
Oh,
So
you can, like I just said, I've been streaming for 10 months. You can look at any of my old VODs. I'll send you some old VODs that I have if you want me to. Like, I've been talking about being non-binary for pretty much the entire time that I've been on stream. It's
yeah,
why some people
I've seen
followed
people.
me.
I've seen people. I've seen certain streams. People they talk about these things, and it's like they're proud. It's like it just seems like this like giant circle jerk to me. There's certain streamers who you go into their streams and they're all like, like I'm oppressed. No, I'm more oppressed than you are. Oh, well, I'm the greatest victim of all. Like it's just like this giant like oppression Olympics.
The only people who oppress me is my mama, but okay. Okay.
Give me 5 seconds. I need water. I'm getting parched.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'll be right back.
All right, you guys. This is really taking off. I am really enjoying this. By the way, if anybody who is watching would like to sub to this channel, if you like my hat, you can use Super Jesus as an emoticon. Hashtag shameless plug. Hashtag I don't get paid enough for this shit. Um, let me see. It's Bombi. I actually asked him directly if that was the case, and he said no. Utah Jazz, it's totally okay. No problem.
I'm back.
Alrighty, good to have you. Um, Gamma Lab Day Nasser. His tag is red_pill_gamer. Doe Dayton, I am not religious actually, I am agnostic, which as I pointed out on an earlier stream today means without knowledge, so meaning without knowledge of whether there is or is not a god.
It's better than being an atheist.
I just don't like having the burden of proof on something that's improvable.
Right.
Okay, somebody said new topic, and I am gonna say new topic. That's totally fine with me. So you said I'm really important has been in your stream as well? He's kind of cool. He comes to my stream every once in a while.
He's a loser.
Oh,
and he's afraid to debate me.
Thank you for the sub, my dude. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. You can now use the Super Jesus emote. Congratulations. A symbol of true Americana. I started this whole Super Jesus thing because I found this hat in a random gas station and I thought it was funny. And people just latched onto it. It's great.
I do like your hat.
Thank you, man.
It's almost better than mine.
I feel like the mixture of Superman and Jesus is just like the most pure form of Americana that I've ever come across.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Man, this is really fun, honestly. Like, I haven't been this like back and forth with somebody in a while.
Yeah, I really enjoy conversations like this. What's unfortunate for me is that usually like you're a very good faith actor. I got to give you credit for that. Like you've been very genuine. I think you're being intellectually honest, even though we clearly disagree. A lot of people that I interact with on here, they just want me so badly to be a Nazi that they like it never gets to this point where like we're actually having a conversation, we're learning about each other, we're understanding where we come from. This is a real conversation, so I'm enjoying this too.
Cryphonics. Johnnywicked is a paid actor. Confirmed. It's all a show. We're just fucking around, man. We're all getting paid to do this. Really.
I wish.
I wish. Someday, man. Someday. If everybody who was watching this stream right now followed me, I could probably get paid to do Twitch someday. Do it. Come on.
I'll follow you.
Awesome. I'll follow you.
Thank you.
Heck yeah. My dude, I've been coming out with a lot of stuff today. What's something that you want to ask me about besides whether or not you should thank you guys. Thank you so much. Besides whether or not you should vote Democrat, because I think we can both agree I wasn't doing a very good job of convincing you.
I mean, really, I don't know because like you were the one who was like, hey, you want to come debate me? And I'm like, I don't know who you are or what topics we're going to discuss. Like usually I like to know the person and have a topic and you know what I'm saying? Like, so I really don't know. Like you don't repulse me. Like I feel like you're not an insane leftist.
Thank you.
I am curious to know more about you because like you're telling me about this like you're telling me that like with this like trans. Are you trans? I'm sorry. You said you're
Okay,
androgynous.
I am androgynous, which means that I fall in between man and woman. You can also call it non-binary. There's a lot of different names that it goes by, but I prefer androgynous.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So like an issue. What I can say is like an issue that I have with transgender community or even like LGBTQ is they tend to be like militantly political.
Huh. Most of
And
us are who I hang out with anyway. Most of us are just trying to live.
yeah, so like in my experience, the people that I've dealt with on here who are LGBTQ,
Mm.
they like, as I said, they tend to be this way, and like to me, I find it very, very, very off-putting. So like if you're if you're like a decent person, like I'm gonna respect who you are and what you want to be called.
Hmm.
But when you're trying to like, and I'm not saying you, but like when somebody is trying to force somebody to do something, the natural reaction, like the natural human reaction in response to force is resistance.
Hmm.
And I find that a lot of these people are very angry and maybe justifiably so, but they're very angry and I find it extremely off-putting to the point where I don't want to respect their wishes because of how like off-putting and combative. And also I think that they exaggerate, like when we're talking about gay rights, we're talking about transgender rights. I really think that that whole thing is so heavily exaggerated. The idea that gay people don't have the same rights as straight people, or the idea that transgender people don't have the same rights. When you're talking about transgender rights, one thing that often comes up is like bathroom law, and to me, this is completely like, is this really something that we need to go to war over?
Hmm. What do you mean? There are people who are getting kicked out of their proper bathrooms, who are being detained as some sort of sexual predator because they're wearing a dress and they just want to go to the bathroom.
So like this is where it gets kind of slippery for me, but like, oh man, like, so like not everyone, but I do think that there is a concerning amount of, see, like I don't think it's a total non-issue. Like I think there's people out there, like I would assume like you just want to use whatever bathroom you want, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But then I do think there are people who are truly not in a healthy state of mind who
Hmm.
who I don't feel comfortable, using the same bathroom as my daughter or as my son.
Okay, so what you're telling me is there are people who will take advantage of the law that allows them to go to whatever bathroom they want and will misuse that in order to be a sexual predator. That is what you're saying?
No, not even. I'm talking about there are people who are legitimately transgendered, but who are. Oh, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. There are people who are legitimately transgendered, but are uh, not mentally all there. Okay, so like it, mental issues are extremely prevalent within the transgendered community. So not all transgender people are mentally unstable, but like a higher percentage than the average population of them is.
Not all cis people are completely stable, but we still let them go to the bathroom.
Right, but proportionally speaking, that's why I said compared to.
Do you know why, though? Have you ever sat down and questioned why we have so many instances of suicide, which is what people are referring to when they say that transgender people have a higher instance of mental illness? They assume that it's mental
Those
illness
space
because we have
boats.
such a high
Thanks for
rate
the
of
follow, brother.
suicide. And have you ever stopped to consider why? Because I can tell you why.
I think I know where you're going with that, and I'm sure to some degree, of course, that is a contributing factor.
What
But
is hold on, because I just wanted to say that it's because people who are transgender are generally separated from their families from a very young age. They generally have no to little support system, and they go through their transition in a very unhealthy way, which leads to things like suicide. Okay?
Okay, so would you agree, medically speaking, that being transgendered is an abnormality?
No.
Okay. Um.
There have been transgender people for thousands upon thousands of years. The Native Americans have documentation of it. We
Right.
have we
Right.
have things called two spirit. We, as in the Native American population, have two spirit people. There are people in the Philippines who have been transgender for thousands of years. I believe in India there is a caste system specifically around transgender people. I may be wrong on that. Um,
So when I say abnormality, I mean like an anomaly or like an exception to the rule, like like a statistical abnormality compared to the rest of the population.
Alrighty, here's where we're probably going to start to disagree. I have a lot of nuance in how I look at gender and the sex spectrum. So the fact that there are people who are intersex, and the fact that there are people who are men but who are feminine, and females who are very masculine, that gives me a lot of a sense of the gender spectrum. And so I believe that gender and sex both exist as a spectrum. The fact that we are relegated into two different spots is an example of just how militantly religious the West has been over the last 1,000 years or so.
Sorry, one of your viewers is in my channel trying to band.
Oh, really? Who would
Yeah,
be?
it's Sam Cedar again.
Oh,
He makes
Sam
sound
Cedar.
puppets.
Hmm.
I was listening to you. You can continue.
Okay. So I believe that gender and sex exist on a spectrum, and the fact that we are relegated to two little spots on that spectrum is an example of how militantly religious the West has been over the past 1,000 years or so.
Um, okay, I think that the gender spectrum revolves around the fact that there are two sexes. I see, like I don't think there's like some like nefarious reasons for why it is the way it is. I think that it's based in biology, and the biological fact is that only a male and a female can reproduce with each other, and then I think gender is derived from that natural absolute truth. And
Okay, so
I
what about
understand what you're
females who
saying.
can't reproduce and females who have scrotums and entire ball systems inside of their bodies? And what about males who have uteruses? What about
The,
those people?
these are exceptions to the rule. These are statistical anomalies.
They exist within the gender spectrum. They exist I'm sorry, that would be the sex spectrum, but they exist as intersex people. And they're not as uncommon as you would think. Just like people like me who have a differing amount of testosterone or estrogen, not as uncommon as you would think, but not very regularly tested for.
Well, what I'm getting at is like, so the
What you're
reason
getting
why.
at is that it's not normal, right?
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. What I'm getting at is the fact that, like, if you are a statistical anomaly, you're going no matter what the anomaly is. We're not talking about just transgender now. We're talking about if you have two hands, if you have two heads, if you're missing a leg, if you were born without an arm, right? If you are a statistical anomaly, you're going to face a certain level of let's say abuse, because I can't think of a better word. You're going to face a certain level of abuse, especially at a young age, because like all the little kids, like they're immature, and they see somebody who is different, and they're not adults, who know that we should treat people nicely and with respect, right? So like all they see is different, and they treat different people poorly, unfortunately, and then you put somebody through that life experience, and right, they're going to have a really shitty upbringing, and then yeah, like that'll definitely be a major contributing factor to suicide. But I I don't think it's only that though. Let's say
You're
some
okay, so you're one of those people who thinks that transness itself is a mental illness.
um yes.
Alrighty. Well, consider me mentally ill for not wanting to, like, relegate myself to female pronouns and female etc. Like the fact that let's consider the fact that I will not be having children and therefore no one has any business knowing what's in my pants except for my boyfriend. Like
Your
it's
boyfriend,
simply yes, my partner, my boyfriend.
is he cis?
He is, yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious.
No, yeah, that's a real interesting one for me, actually.
Not
But
as interesting to me, but okay.
mhm. No, it's interesting in the course of my life. He is an interesting anomaly.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what I am like, okay, so like let's say somebody has ADD. Is that a mental illness? I don't know. Let's pretend it is. Is it a mental illness?
Attention deficit disorder is I don't
I'll
believe it's
Google
a
it.
mental
I'm gonna Google
illness.
it quick.
Okay.
Oh, is it a learning disability or a mental illness?
Okay.
Let's see. Of course, the answer isn't in the first sentence. They're gonna make me read the art.
No. Yeah.
Uh,
Brooksy is saying ADHD is a learning difficulty.
got it. Okay. So what the point I was trying to make, but failed with that example. The point that I'm trying to make is, let's say somebody is mentally ill. Should we treat that person any differently than somebody who isn't mentally ill? No, of course not. We should respect everybody, no matter what. So I don't even see it like as something that's offensive to say, because like who cares? Like if you're a good person and you're chill
Oh,
and
well, no, that's not true, actually. Like, I hate to even bring this up because it sounds like an oppression card, but I actually am diagnosed with PTSD and it affects many aspects of my life. It has caused me to be less than a good person to people around me because of the side effects of this particular disease. And so, considering that someone equates my PTSD to my non-binariness, it to me as a person who experiences both, it's simply not even a question that they're different. It's not even a question that one is a mental illness and one is just how I see myself. You see what I'm saying? So to people who experience it, it's really incredible to us that people who are cis and who are that you automatically view it as a mental illness.
yeah, I totally hear you. Like one is like an affliction, like PTSD for example. Like use the word affliction to describe it. It's something that's like
Absolutely.
that's like more tangible to you, and then the other one is just so like I don't know how to word it, but I understand the distinction that you're making. Um, Personally, it doesn't change my mind, but eh, like I would hope that you would understand that when I say that somebody who is transgendered, I believe is mentally ill. I'm not saying this as to be insulting. Like I would say that somebody with Down syndrome is mentally ill, like or whatever, mentally disabled. But would I say that to their face? Like would I say like you're no, of course not, because I'm not an asshole. But now when you're somebody who like if you're somebody who is this thing and you're telling me like in a very aggressive way, like I'm this and you have to call me this thing, and if you don't call me this thing and you live in New York City, then you're gonna, which is true by the way, you're gonna be fined $250,000, like this is now we're getting to a point where it's like, okay, like, I could have accepted it, but it's becoming a political weapon of the left, because for the left, they would use gay people for many many years, to like rally the troops. So same-sex marriage was like this, multi-year war that they used to rally the troops. But then once they passed same-sex marriage, it's like that war was over, and now they needed to find a new oppressed community where they could sort of like, carry the torch. They couldn't use gay people anymore, because now gay people have all the same rights that they wanted that straight people have. So it's like, okay, now we need to find, the next sexually different oppressed group. And then so the next one in line was transgender. And that's why, like, within like the last 5 years, the topic of transgenderism has become so prevalent in political conversation, because this is a political narrative. And that's not to discredit you as a human being, or what you feel, or any of that. But I'm explaining to you why this is so prevalent.
No, it's actually
in,
becoming prevalent because trans people are no longer afraid. Okay?
it's
When
political.
gay people got rights, it rallied us to say we should have the right to be open and be out. It's not about rights, and it's not about laws on the books. Now, granted, there are some people who have taken the bathroom law thing and made it really political. I would say that that's more right wing people than left. But the fact of the matter is, we are out and we are proud because we're not afraid anymore. We're not trying to change a bunch of laws, we're trying to change hearts and minds. Okay? We're trying to make people not think that we're mentally ill or dangerous or what have you. We're trying to say some people have one thing in their pants and they don't want to wear pants. Like, that's all we're trying to say, and we're allowed to do that now.
You don't want to wear
We're
pants?
also, you know what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Uh, we're trying to change hearts and minds. We're trying to be open and out in the conversation so that people know we exist. It's just like the fact that black people are fighting not to be shot, and the fact that they make up only 13% of the United States shouldn't matter. They still don't want to be shot. Trans people make up less than 1% of the population, and they get shit all the time, even though they're not even there most of the time to defend themselves, because we genuinely, people didn't think we existed for a while. Like, we just want to be part of the conversation.
And that's fine. I just think that the community as a whole is coming from an extremely like aggressive and, as I said, militantly left wing angle. So for me, it's purely. I mean, like I watched this one interview. Jesse Lee Peterson.
No.
Okay, well, he's like this like really strange black dude who I like him, but he's like this really strange black dude who like he shits on black people all the time. That's not why I like him, but basically, like he tells black people to get their shit together, and like liberals hate him because they think he's racist. But anyway, so he had interviewed a transgender person, and I listened to their conversation, and I was like, oh, like I was like, oh, like that seems like a decent person, but she wasn't like politically militant, and then that made me realize like it's the politics more than anything that I find so repulsive.
Hmm.
Like that's the thing. Like if you're like a transgender activist, you're just a liberal activist at that point. As far as I'm concerned. So like I'm going to resist you because we disagree politically. But like if you're just like somebody who's in my like if I go to work and like you're my coworker, like I'm not gonna be a dick to you. Like I'm just gonna respect. Like you want to be called this, I'll call you that. Like I don't give a fuck. But like it feels like the left is trying to like jam this shit down our throats all the time, and it's like like especially like in the media and like in TV and Hollywood, like everything is gay now, everything is like transgender now, and it's like it's so fucking obvious what they're doing. Like they're pushing this political narrative down
Yeah.
everybody's throats.
Just like they push the cis narrative all the time. You get married to a boy if you are a girl. They push
That's not
that
a
narrative.
narrative, though. That's not a
Oh,
narrative.
that's not a narrative now? That's not
That
a narrative. The story of love between a man and a woman is not a narrative.
that wasn't created by human beings. That was created by that's the natural order. As I said before, men
Okay, so
and women,
gay people aren't part of the natural order now?
they're statistical anomalies. I'm not like, see, this is the thing, is like,
That's the thing, is that you always, like, your side always wants to push that this is unnatural and that
no, I'm
people
not.
aren't
No,
born this way and shit like that. And that gets really tiring for those of us
I
who were born this way.
I'm not saying you weren't born that way. I'm saying you are a statistical anomaly. The same way somebody who's born with two hands is a statistical anomaly. Does that mean that that person should be disrespected or treated any differently than the rest of us? No, but we should be able, as a society, to acknowledge that the guy with two hands is a statistical anomaly without losing our jobs.
There is a difference between acknowledging that someone is slightly different from you and literally burning them at the stake, which is what gay people
Wait,
and
literally?
you haven't heard of people being dragged behind trucks by chains for being gay? You
In
haven't heard of.
2019?
Let's look up what the last hate crime against gay people was in 2019. 2019
I don't think it was what you
gay
just described.
hate crimes. No, I'm giving you an example of things that have happened in my state. I can't tell you what year they happened, but I know they happened in my state, so I know for sure they're true.
Yeah, hate crimes happen. Like, I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, and so we want to live in a world without hate crimes, and we also want to live in a world where we are represented in media. Now, sometimes people take it too far, like that dumbass. I'm not gonna spoil fucking. Can I spoil something in Endgame? Like, just one thing. Just one little thing.
I don't care.
Okay. So, spoiler alert. Turn the mic down for the next 10 seconds if you don't want a spoiler. Turn the mic down. Do it. Okay.
Iron Man's
There
gay.
is no. There is one point where a bunch of female superheroes come together in like a line, and they're like, "She has help," and then they all go off and they fight one thing together, and it's like a solid 30 seconds of just only female superheroes fighting one thing. And it's so fucking tiring when it gets shoved in your face like that. I get it, but that's not like a political agenda. That's just bad Hollywood writing.
No, see, oh god, you were so close. You so close, and then at the end, I don't know what happened there. So close
Oh,
though.
Vilbraham. Vilbraham is one of my like hate love followers. He's saying that that was a great moment in that movie, and I hate my own sex.
It wasn't because of bad writing. That is extremely deliberate. To think that is done mistakenly, or done because of bad, like, this kind of goes back to our conversation about journalists. It's
I
like,
know, I know. It goes back to how fucking paranoid you are, my dude.
oh my god, it's just undeniable. I mean, like, to deny that Hollywood has an extreme left wing bias.
Oh, I know it does. I know it does. And I'm
So
saying that
what
that's
makes you
part
think?
of the bad writing is that they have a bias. Bias makes for bad writing, but it's not like they're forcing you to vote one way by putting this ridiculous thing, this ridiculous part of writing in Endgame. They're not like granted they might be trying to like give little girls something to look forward to when they go see Endgame. Like, oh, that was so cool. I saw all these people and they all got together and it was great. Um, no spoilers. I told everybody they could unmute, but it's bias that makes for bad writing. It's not this big political conspiracy to make you vote for transgender people or whatever you think it is.
It seems like a semantic argument, so I'm not going to press you on. But these people are biased, and they're putting their political agenda into the movie. I'm not saying they're sitting at a table and they're like, oh, okay, how can we make people vote Democrat in game? Like, I don't think that's what's happening. But it's definitely not accidental that they have these scenes of, like, like blatant female empowerment, which I'm not against, but like it's just cringy. It's like kind of bigoted towards women. Actually, it's like we're treating women like they're mentally disabled. And it's like, look, women can do things too. It's like, why are we doing this? Like, why don't we just treat them like everybody else?
Why don't you just write normal things like everyone else instead of pretending like female superheroes have to be robots?
I can't tell if you were disagreeing with me or what.
No, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just
Oh,
giving
okay.
another example. Yeah. By the way, Superman dies in Endgame. Just so everybody knows.
God damn it.
Oh man, dude, we've been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. At least this stream has been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes.
That's
I
a new
just
record.
wanted, yeah, it's a new record for me too. Actually, I think I streamed for 3 hours one time a few months back, but
Do you want
um,
to continue or?
yeah, actually, I'm interested in continuing for another. Let's see, it's 10:17 right now. I can go for another 15-20 minutes if you're free. But
Yeah, sure.
yeah, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get across that transgender people are not mentally ill, but I realize that you are going to inherently disagree with that, and that's really quite sad. I'm sorry, like it's
I
not.
don't think it's sad. I don't think it's sad. I think you interpret that term as being like an offensive or degrading term, and you know you think it's sad.
Hmm.
To me, it's just sort of like a scientific. It's a purely scientific thing. Like it's not personal. It's I'm not degrading you or berating you or saying you are lesser or any of that. I'm just saying that
I
this
have a
is.
question. If there was another way that you could put it, if there was another way that you could describe it, maybe a scientific anomaly or a gender anomaly or a sex anomaly, if there was any other way that you could describe it besides mental illness, would you do so?
I would, but then that new word would just become the old mentally disabled. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like you can't make up a new less offensive word. I don't. Maybe you can. I don't know. But
You people do it all the time. Yeah, I think that the English language is beautiful in that we can morph it into the most specific thing that we can possibly make it. You know, if it exists, English probably already has something for it, or something, or the building blocks for it. You know.
yeah, so I think it's possible. But one example that comes to you look at illegal alien versus undocumented immigrants. You know, like undocumented immigrant is language that the right wholly rejects. So even though it is like a less offensive term, it's less accurate. And I think somebody like me, I'm just concerned with accuracy. So like I just I don't use the terminology undocumented immigrant because it's not as explicitly descriptive as an illegal alien. Alien, which by the way is a legal term and not like, you know, doesn't mean you're from Mars.
So undocumented immigrant and illegal alien are, I think, a bad example of what I'm trying to convey to you, because mental illness, you keep saying that we as trans people, we as non-binary people are anomalies. Do you think that we are anomalies, or do you think we are suffering from an illness?
Well, both can be true. I mean, like those aren't mutually exclusive. I mean, if you're like
I'm talking about the specific set, regardless of what I suffer from, regardless of what anyone else suffers from on the side, because I think most people in the United States are under some sort of at least stress or anxiety disorder at this point. Um, I think that if you were to say this is not an illness, I would be more for your stance, because I also believe in being scientifically descriptive, and I realize that it is not the status quo scientifically to be gay or transgender. However, that doesn't mean that these things are illnesses. They are naturally occurring, and they don't seem to have any sort of basis in an identifiable illness.
but okay, so like let's say somebody has two right hands, right? This is a deformity. Now that's like an ugly word, but that is just objectively true. It is a
Deformity
deformity.
deformity would be just fine. In fact, what do they call people with blue eyes? By the way, Magic Coconut 209. I don't care what you call me, but don't call anyone else in my chat any names. Also, we don't do ad hominem here. So if you're going to have ad hominem, if you're going to attack people on a personal basis, you can get out of my chat.
If you want to be an asshole, come to my chat.
By the way, I just want to plug both of us really quick because I really just like shameless plugs. Sub to me if you want to use the Super Jesus emote. I don't know if you have any emotes or anything like that that you want to plug, but
That's
go ahead.
I don't think your viewers want to sub to me.
Man, I don't know if your viewers want to sub to me either, but I think that's what's cool about this whole conversation.
You
Actually,
definitely got some followers of mine. I saw that.
man, I appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate it. What is his stream? Craven. His stream is red underscore pill underscore gamer. Yeah, gender dysphoria is not. It can be considered a mental illness, but what it actually is the side effects of being a transgender person. Transgenderism transgenderism is not a illness in and of itself. Gender dysphoria actually describes the stress that people are under when they are not allowed to express their true gender identity. You can look that up. That's in the DHSM.
Mm. Yeah, I think I hear a lot of what you're saying, and I really don't disagree with probably anything at all that you're saying. Like on this topic,
Hmm.
it's just I think it's just sort of like it. Hmm. I'm trying to think. Uh, huh.
Hmm.
Like I hear you, and but I just can't. Um, I just believe what I believe, and I can't really like change that.
I mean, you can with enough evidence, and what I think is going to happen is we're going to slowly accrue enough scientific evidence to show that transgenderism is not a mental illness. We're going to slowly accrue enough uh, basis for transgenderism to be looked at the same way that gay people are looked at. And
All
I
right,
think
so
that's going to be great.
like gay people. So like I don't hate gay people, but I don't choose to hang out with gay people because I feel like gay people are like this is my own personal preference by the way. I feel like gay people like are and in my experience, I feel like gay people are like their own gender. Like I'm a straight male, like and if you're a gay male, like you're just not what I am. So like we just don't have a ton in my experience, we don't have a ton in common. Now like and like it's not a hate thing. Like, you know, a lot of times the left will be like, oh, big like it's not a hate thing. It's just like that's my personal preference. Like my friends are all straight. Like I choose to hang out with straight people. Like, does that mean I hate gay people and want them to die and get beat up? No, but like I just have so much more in common with a straight male than a gay male or like with a transgender person. Like it's the same thing. Like, but also like let's say there's like a transgender guy and like he's like, you know, like not very passable and like he's like wearing a wig and like he's wearing like a blouse or like a skirt and he's got like hairy legs. Like this is not something that I can accept as being normal. Is like does that mean I want that person to die? No, but it's just like I'm never going to want to associate with that person. Like that person it is like you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's nothing you or anybody can do that's going to make me think that that person is what I perceive as being normal.
Alrighty, so do you not hang out with females? Are females not normal?
I don't hang out with women unless I'm sexually active with them.
All right, yeah. That I mean that says a lot about you as a person. I will hold that against you a little bit just because I don't find that to be normal or
Well,
healthy.
because men and women cannot be friends with each other. because there will always be an underlying
Ooh.
sexual.
Ooh, okay, okay. I am going to have
There's
to cut you
exceptions.
off. I am going to have to cut you
Wait.
off. No, no, because I have to leave. I'm cooking dinner for my friends and they get off work at 11. Um,
Okay.
but I really, really, really want to continue this conversation from a MGTOW. Do you know what MGTOW is?
I do.
It's men go their own way. Yeah. I really want to continue this conversation from like a MGTOW perspective on another day, if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
Awesome. Okay, well, I am going to get out of here. Thank you so much to my mods. Thank you to everybody who is watching this stream. Red Pill, I am going to step out of on air. You can step out whenever you would like. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for having this conversation with me, my dude.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you to your viewers who don't hate me and think, and just let me know when you want to do the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sending you a friend request now, and I will send you a message, okay?
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys, I really do have to get out of here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of my mods. I'm streaming next tomorrow. I am streaming at my normal stream time, which is during the day. I'm going to be streaming at approximately 3 o'clock my time, which means that if you're in Europe, it'll be around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I do night streams, and I will be doing more of those, and I will let you guys know on my Discord and on my Twitter when Red Pill Gaming and I will be talking again. So if you want to stay up to date with that, please join my Discord and turn on notifications. You won't be bombarded with notifications because I have only at mentions turned on, so you will be able to know when I add everyone and tell them. Okay? Much respect for a civil talk. Don't be offended too. Thank you so much. Vilbraham, that was a really good stream. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Vilbraham. Follow me on all social media. Thank you so much for the people who subbed tonight. Again, if you would like to sub to me and use the Super Jesus emote, the ultimate symbol of Americana, then please do. Thank you all so much. This is really exciting and really fun for me. Thank you. Watch Me Make Games has followed, and thank you so much for that. Also, thank you to the 10 bits that I got from Sam Cedar earlier. I'm gonna press this button and it's gonna end my stream. Thank you for being here. I really love you guys. I'm for real. I really do. Alright, join the Discord and have a great night. Bye.
For the follow. Actually, I'm actually curious. Yeah, my IQ is only 20. We're gonna ban that guy. It's funny. He keeps coming back, and he's just never gonna learn, is he? Keeps coming back. Okay, let me catch up on chat here. I'm not gonna go all the way back, guys, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping to continue going with that last topic of discussion. I know it's contentious. I definitely know it's contentious, but I think it's worth discussing. And she seems to have she's tolerant enough to listen to the things I have to say. So that's nice for a change. There's a video on YouTube asking a bunch of guys if they could be just friends. Everyone said no. I mean, you know what it is. You just have this underlying sexual. You can't. A man cannot remove his sexual instincts. That's the thing. So if you are attracted to a woman, you are always going to want to have sex with them. Like, this is considered controversial if you're a leftist, I guess. But these people are in denial if they're denying this, and they want to pretend like, oh no, men and women can be friends. Yeah, one of my ex-girlfriends thought that too, and it didn't end very well. So, no, if you're a woman and you think a guy is your friend, no, that guy wants to fuck you. I'm sorry to tell you. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yes, obviously, when I say these things, I'm not saying 100% of all men cannot be friends with 100%
Can confirm
of all women, but in most cases, if a guy is
Anyway, I think we're
friends
gonna
with
call
a
it
girl, it's
there.
because
I'm
he
getting pretty
wants to stick
tired.
his
That
penis
was a
inside
heated
of you,
debate,
and also women
or not
want
even
to
heated. It was a
women
good
wants to think
confrontation, I
that,
think, for a lot of
oh
ideas that were
no,
discussed.
it's not the sex,
Even
it's my
with the
personality.
Twitter terms of
He likes me for
service,
my
that
personality,
sort of
because then they
thing,
would have
kind
to
of
admit
getting
that
in
no, it's not
the
your
way of
personality,
actually
it's
having
not who
a
you are, it is your
clean
physical
debate.
features.
Subjects. I think
So
both
that's where that
sides
comes from.
brought some
And
interesting
like once again,
arguments
I
to the
don't mean this
table. My
as
name's
an
Qbucks.
offensive
You can
statement. I don't mean
subscribe
this
to
as
me
a
on
sexist
YouTube,
statement. This is my
Twitter,
view, and I stand
Mixer.
firmly by it.
My primary channel is on
Moving on
twitch.tv
now, since I have plenty of
/Qbucks.
female
We like
friends that are
covering
just friends.
debates,
You know,
things of
maybe
that
people are
nature,
different. Like maybe
doing
there are.
political commentary, that sort of thing.
Don't think this is
Um,
the general trend, but I do think that maybe there
I
are some
subscribe to
guys who are
both sides
able
of
to
these
remove
arguments.
the sexual
Subscriber in both
component
channels.
from the
And that is
relationship.
something that can
But
exist.
you know, just
You don't have
knowing
to
how
be.
the male brain is hardwired.
You don't
So
have to be
basically,
so
like,
hard
as a
stuck
man, you are hardwired
in
to just
either
have as
one of
much
these things.
sex as humanly possible. You are
Be threatened by
wired
the other
nature
one so
to
much
plant your
that you
seed
look to
as
deplatform.
far and wide as you possibly can.
I was paying
This is not
attention to
something
the
you can
chat,
turn
and there were
off.
talks about
Are there
deplatforming this
exceptions to
gentleman.
the rule? Yeah, sure.
Which
There's
it
always going to be an
seems
exception.
like
But I think generally speaking, I think what I'm
it's
saying is
generally
true.
the left trying to deplatform the right, and
Vibraham
there of
says,
course are exceptions to those
good
rules,
stream. You're
but
very correct. And then this last
yeah.
sentence is a
Anyway,
bit
we're gonna cut it
unusual,
there.
but
Hope
okay.
you guys
Thank you
enjoyed.
for
We'll
the
see you next
compliment.
time. Take care.
Yeah, Johnnywicked is a weird one. She identifies as a dude, but is fine with she. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to. She's a nice person, so I don't